Ashes and Grace. Part 1, The Fire of Shadows. The wind howls like a wounded beast through the valley, tearing through the thatched roofs of Bourbon as if it knows what's coming. Smoke curls from the chimneys, but it's not the scent of hearth and bread that fills the air tonight. It's ash. And fear. Isolde runs. Her bare feet slap against the frozen mud, skirts clutched in one hand, the other pressed to the satchel beneath her cloak. The parchment inside is warm against her ribs, though it shouldn't be. It's just ink and vellum. Just words. But they burn like fire. Behind her, the bells toll. Not for Massachusetts. Not for celebration. For judgment. She doesn't look back. She knows what she'll see, the crimson robes of the Inquisitors, their hoods casting shadows over eyes that never blink. They've come for her uncle. For his books. For the whispers that have long curled through Bourbon like smoke. That he reads Latin not from the Psalms, but from the forbidden texts buried beneath the monastery. That he teaches Isolde things no girl should know. She crests the hill, lungs burning, and stumbles into the woods. The trees close around her like arms, skeletal and reaching. She's known these woods since she was a child, but tonight they feel foreign. Hostile. The moon is a sliver, barely enough to see by, and the cold bites through her cloak like teeth. She doesn't cry. She doesn't pray. She runs. The fire starts just after midnight. Isolde watches from the ridge, hidden beneath a tangle of brambles. Her uncle's cottage is a pyre, flames licking the sky, embers drifting like stars. She sees the villagers gathered below, their faces lit in flickering orange. Some weep. Some cross themselves. Some simply watch. The Inquisitors stand apart, unmoved. Father Gervais, the village priest, raises his hands. His voice carries over the crackling wood. Let this be a lesson. Heresy burns. And so shall all who harbor it. Isolde's breath catches. Her uncle is still inside. She wants to scream. To run down the hill and throw herself into the fire. But she doesn't. She stays. Because she knows what her uncle would say. Knowledge must survive. Even if we do not. She walks for 3 days. Through frostbitten fields and silent hamlets, past shuttered windows and wary eyes. She eats only what she can steal, a crust of bread left for the birds, a handful of winter apples. Her feet bleed. Her lips crack. But she keeps walking. The parchment never leaves her side. It's a map. Not of land, but of thought. A treatise on the stars, written in a hand older than the church itself. Her uncle said it was dangerous. Said it was beautiful. Said it was truth. And now it's hers. On the 4th day, she reaches the monastery. It rises from the cliffs like a fortress, carved from stone the color of bone. The sea crashes below, violent and endless. Isolde stands at the gates, trembling. She doesn't know why she's come. Only that her uncle once said, "If ever you are lost, go to Saint Armand." There are still those who remember. She knocks. The door opens. And everything changes. Inside, the air is thick with incense and silence. Monks move like ghosts through the halls, their faces hidden, their voices low. Isolde is led to a chamber lit by candlelight, where a man waits. He is young. Too young to wear the robes of a priest. His eyes are the color of storm clouds, and they narrow as he studies her. "You are not a pilgrim," he says. "No. You carry something." She hesitates. Then nods. He steps closer. His voice is quiet. "Show me." She does. And when he sees the parchment, he doesn't recoil. Doesn't condemn. He closes his eyes. And whispers, "You shouldn't have come." That night, she dreams of fire. Of hands reaching through smoke. Of a voice, his voice, saying her name like a prayer. Isolde. The stage is set. Isolde has lost everything, her home, her family, her innocence. But she's found something else, a man who sees her not as a heretic, but as a flame. Part 2, The Cloistered Stranger. The monastery is colder than the woods. Stone corridors stretch like veins through the heart of Saint Armand, echoing with the shuffle of robes and the murmured prayers of men who buried their names beneath vows. Isolde walks among them like a ghost, her presence tolerated but not welcomed. She is a woman. She is uninvited. She is dangerous. But he watches her. The young priest. His name is Gabriel. She learns it not from him, but from the whispers of novices who scatter when she passes. He is not yet ordained, they say. He was sent from Avignon, where the church is thick with politics and poison. He is brilliant. He is devout. He is untouchable. And yet, he speaks to her. "You shouldn't be here," he says again, voice low, eyes shadowed. Isolde stands in the scriptorium, surrounded by parchment and dust. Her fingers tremble as she holds out the map. "My uncle said this place was safe." Gabriel doesn't take it. He doesn't move. There is no safe place anymore. She studies him. The way his jaw tightens. The way his hands remain folded behind his back, as if touching her would break something sacred. "You've read it," she says. He nods. Slowly. It's a star chart. But not one sanctioned by the church. It's truth. It's heresy. Their eyes lock. And something shifts. Days pass. She is given a cell, small, damp, and windowless. She eats in silence, prays in silence, breathes in silence. But at night, she dreams of Gabriel. Of his voice. Of the way he looked at her like she was both a flame and the moth drawn to it. She sees him in the library, bent over ancient texts. She sees him in the chapel, eyes closed, lips moving in prayer. She sees him in the garden, where the frost clings to the roses like blood. And one night, she follows him. He doesn't hear her at first. He walks through the cloisters, past the chapel, down a hidden stairwell carved into the rock. She stays in the shadows, heart pounding. The air grows colder. The walls narrower. He stops before a door. Wood. Ironbound. Marked with a sigil she doesn't recognize. He opens it. And disappears inside. She waits until he's gone. Then she enters. The chamber is unlike anything she's seen. Candles flicker in sconces shaped like wings. Scrolls line the walls, written in languages older than Latin. A single book rests on a pedestal, bound in leather, its pages glowing faintly. She steps closer. And hears his voice. "You shouldn't be here." She turns. Gabriel stands in the doorway, eyes burning. "You said that already," she whispers. He doesn't move. Doesn't speak. And then, slowly, he closes the door behind him. They talk. For hours. About stars. About faith. About the line between knowledge and blasphemy. Gabriel's voice is quiet, but fierce. He speaks of the council, of the schism tearing the church apart. Of the Inquisition's hunger for control. And of her. You are dangerous, he says. Because I read? Because you make me question. The silence between them is thick. And then he steps closer. His hand brushes hers. And the world tilts. They don't kiss. Not yet. But the air between them crackles like fire. Isolde leaves the chamber with her heart in her throat and her soul unraveling. She doesn't sleep. She doesn't pray. She waits. The next morning, the bells toll. Not for mass. For arrival. The Inquisition has come to Saint Armand. And they are asking for her. Isolde and Gabriel have crossed a line, not with lips, but with truth. And now, the fire they've kindled threatens to consume them both. Part 3, The Whispers of Heresy. The Inquisitors arrive like a storm cloaked in velvet. 3 of them. Black-robed, eyes like polished stone, their presence turning Saint Armand from sanctuary to snare. They speak little. They watch everything. And they ask questions that slice deeper than blades. Isolde is summoned. She stands before them in the refectory, where the light is dim and the walls echo with silence. Father Thibault, the lead inquisitor, regards her with a gaze that feels like judgment incarnate. You came from Bravon, he says. Yes. Your uncle was burned. She nods. You carry nothing? No. A lie. She feels the parchment like a heartbeat beneath her bodice. Thibault leans forward. Heresy spreads like rot. It hides in books. In minds. In women who think they can read. Isolde meets his eyes. And does not flinch. Gabriel finds her in the chapel that night. She sits beneath the stained glass, where the Virgin weeps crimson tears. Her hands are clasped, but she does not pray. You lied, he says. I had to. They'll search your cell. I moved it. He exhales, sharp and ragged. You don't understand. If they find it, they'll burn me. Silence. Then, softly, and me. She looks at him. At the way the candlelight paints gold across his cheekbones. At the way his robe hangs loose, revealing the curve of his throat. You're afraid, she says. I'm human. She reaches for him. And this time, he doesn't pull away. They meet in secret. In the hidden chamber beneath the monastery, where the stars are drawn in ink and the air smells of old truths. Gabriel shows her texts written by monks who vanished centuries ago. He speaks of constellations, of the divine geometry that binds heaven and earth. Isolde listens. And learns. But knowledge is never free. One night, she finds a scroll tucked beneath the pedestal. It's written in a hand she doesn't recognize, but the words are clear. The girl carries the map. She must be watched. Her blood turns to ice. Someone knows. She confronts Gabriel. He reads the scroll, jaw clenched. It's not mine. Then whose? He doesn't answer. But his eyes flick toward the novices. Toward Brother Matthew. Matthew is young. Quiet. Too quiet. Isolde watches him in the scriptorium, where he copies psalms with trembling hands. She sees the way he glances at her. The way he disappears when the inquisitors arrive. She follows him. Through the cloisters. Into the garden. Past the chapel. He meets with Thibault. She hears her name. And runs. Gabriel finds her in the crypt. She's shaking. The scroll clutched in her fist. They know, she says. He doesn't speak. He pulls her into his arms and holds her like salvation. That night, they kiss. It's not gentle. It's not holy. It's fire and desperation, mouths colliding, hands grasping, hearts breaking. Gabriel's vows shatter between them. Isolde's fear melts into longing. They are no longer priest and heretic. They are man and woman. And they are damned. The next morning, the parchment is gone. Her cell is ransacked. And Brother Matthew is missing. The walls are closing in. Their love has ignited something dangerous, and someone has betrayed them. But who? And why? Part 4, The Trial of Faith. The bells toll at dawn. Not for Mass. For judgment. Isolde stands in the cloister, the cold biting through her cloak, her breath a ghost in the air. The monks gather in silence, their eyes lowered. Gabriel is nowhere to be seen. Father Thibault steps forward. The girl will be questioned. Not in private. In the refectory. Before the brethren. Before God. She is led through the monastery like a prisoner. Her hands are not bound, but her soul feels shackled. The parchment is gone. The chamber beneath the rock sealed. And Gabriel has vanished. She wonders if he ran. Or if he was taken. The refectory is silent. Candles flicker. Scrolls lie untouched. The monks sit in rows, their faces unreadable. Thibault stands at the head, flanked by his two black-robed companions. Isolde is placed in the center. A single chair. No table. No protection. Just questions. Your uncle was a heretic, Thibault begins. Yes. You studied with him. Yes. You carry his teachings. No. A lie. Thibault steps closer. Do you believe the stars speak truth? She hesitates. Then, I believe God made the stars. And what of the texts? The forbidden maps? I don't know them. Another lie. Thibault's eyes narrow. You are clever. But cleverness is not salvation. He turns to the monks. She is dangerous. She brings corruption. She must be cleansed. Gabriel enters. Late. His robe is torn. His lips split. But his eyes burn. She is not a heretic, he says. Thibault turns. You defend her? I do. You break your vows? I do. The room erupts. Gasps. Murmurs. A monk stands. Another crosses himself. Thibault raises a hand. Silence. You will be tried, he says to Gabriel. And she? Thibault smiles. She will burn. They are taken. Not to cells. To the crypt. Where the walls are damp and the air smells of rot. Isolde is thrown into a chamber with no light. Gabriel is dragged elsewhere. She screams. No one answers. Hours pass. Or days. She doesn't know. She dreams of fire. Of her uncle's voice. Of Gabriel's hands on her skin, his lips on her neck, his breath in her ear. She wakes sobbing. And then, footsteps. The door creaks open. A figure enters. Not Thibault. Brother Matthew. He kneels beside her. I didn't mean for this, he whispers. You betrayed us. I was afraid. She stares at him. And sees the boy beneath a robe. Help me, she says. He hesitates. Then nods. She escapes through the catacombs. Matthew leads her past bones and broken statues, through tunnels carved by monks long dead. The air grows colder. The light fainter. They reach a door. Beyond it, the cliffs. The sea. Freedom. But Gabriel is still inside. She turns to Matthew. I'm not leaving without him. He shakes his head. You'll die. Then I'll die. She returns. Alone. Through the tunnels. Past the crypt. Into the chamber where Gabriel is held. He is chained. Bleeding. But alive. Their eyes meet. And everything else disappears. She breaks the chains. They run. Through fire. Through shadow. Through the heart of Saint Armand, where monks scream and bells toll and Thibaut's voice rises like thunder. Find them. But they are already gone. They reach the cliffs. The sea roars below. Gabriel turns to her. I would burn for you. She touches his face. You already have. And then, they leap. Into the dark. Into the unknown. Into freedom. Isolde and Gabriel have defied the church, escaped the flames, and chosen each other. But the world beyond the monastery is no safer, and the Inquisition never forgets. Part 5, The Flight into Darkness. The sea spits them out like broken things. Isolde and Gabriel wash ashore beneath a sky bruised with dawn, their bodies battered, lungs aching, hearts still racing from the leap that should have killed them. The cliffs of Saint Armand loom behind them, distant now, swallowed by mist and memory. They lie in silence. Then Gabriel coughs, rolls onto his side, and laughs, a sound torn from somewhere deep. We're alive, he says. Isolde stares at the sky. For now. They walk inland. Through marsh and forest, past villages that turn them away with shuttered windows and silent prayers. Gabriel trades his robe for a traveler's cloak, his tonsure hidden beneath growing curls. Isolde binds her hair, wears a man's tunic, and learns to move like someone who doesn't want to be seen. They become shadows. But shadows are hunted. The Inquisition spreads like frost. Every town they pass bears its mark. Burned homes, missing children, whispers of trials held in secret. Gabriel listens. Isolde watches. And both know they are not forgotten. Thibaut will not rest. They find shelter in a ruined abbey. The roof is half collapsed, the altar shattered, but the walls still hold. Gabriel builds a fire. Isolde gathers herbs. They eat roots and stolen bread, drink rainwater, sleep curled together beneath a threadbare blanket. She wakes to his breath on her neck. He wakes to her tears. Neither speaks of the monastery. But it lives between them. One night, she asks, "Do you regret it?" Gabriel stares into the fire. "I regret nothing but the silence." She touches his hand. And he turns to her. "I loved God," he says. "But I never knew him until I loved you." She kisses him. And the world narrows to skin and breath and the sacred ache of being alive. They make a plan. South, toward the Pyrenees. Toward the border. Toward lands where the church's reach falters and knowledge blooms in secret. Gabriel speaks of a scholar in Toulouse, a man who once taught him forbidden texts beneath the guise of astronomy. "He'll help us," Gabriel says. Isolde nods. But her heart trembles. Because every step forward feels like a countdown. They are followed. Not by soldiers. by a man in gray. He appears in villages, on roads, in the corner of her eye. His face is pale. His eyes too still. Gabriel sees him too, once, in the woods, watching from the trees. He's not Inquisition, Gabriel says. Then what? Gabriel doesn't answer. But he begins to pray again. They reach a town on the edge of the mountains. It's quiet. Too quiet. They find an inn. A room. A moment of peace. Isolde bathes in a wooden tub, steam rising around her like fog. Gabriel watches from the bed, his eyes dark with longing and fear. She steps out. And he rises. They meet in the middle. And the night becomes a sacrament. At dawn, the innkeeper is gone. The horses are gone. And the man in gray stands in the courtyard. He speaks. You carry the map. Isolde freezes. Gabriel steps forward. Who are you? The man smiles. I am what comes before the fire. He draws a blade. And everything shatters. They've escaped the monastery, but not the reach of the secrets they carry. A new enemy has emerged, one who knows too much, and wants what they cannot give. Part 6, The Veil of Secrets. The man in gray does not bleed. Gabriel's blade slices his arm, deep, clean, but no blood spills. Just a hiss, like steam escaping stone. The man recoils, eyes flashing silver, and vanishes into the mist. Isolde stares at the empty courtyard. What was he? She whispers. Gabriel doesn't answer. Because he doesn't know. They flee the town before sunrise. No horses. No coin. Just the map, recovered from beneath the innkeeper's floorboards, and the growing sense that they are being hunted by something older than the church. They head south. Toward Toulouse. Toward the scholar. Toward answers. The mountains rise like teeth. Snow clings to the peaks, and the wind howls through the passes like a choir of ghosts. Isolde's feet blister. Gabriel's cough worsens. But they keep moving. Because the map is changing. The ink shifts beneath her fingers, symbols rearranging, stars aligning in patterns she's never seen. Gabriel studies it by firelight, his brow furrowed, his voice low. It's not just a chart, he says. It's a key. To what? He looks at her. To something buried. They reach a village carved into the cliffs. It's quiet. Suspicious. But the innkeeper is kind, and the food warm. Isolde sleeps curled against Gabriel, her dreams filled with whispers and wings. At dawn, a woman waits outside. She wears robes of deep blue. Her eyes are blind. I know what you carry, she says. Isolde stiffens. Who are you? A guardian. Gabriel steps forward. Of what? The woman smiles. Of truth. Her name is Isolde. She leads them to a chapel carved into the rock, older than the village, older than the church. Inside, the walls are covered in symbols, stars, serpents, eyes. Isolde touches the map. It was written by the Astrals, she says. Keepers of the old knowledge. Before Rome. Before Christ. Isolde's heart pounds. Gabriel's voice is hoarse. It's heresy. It's history. Isolde turns to Isolde. You were chosen. That night, Isolde dreams. Of fire. Of stars. Of a voice, not Gabriel's, not her uncle's, whispering her name in a language she doesn't understand. She wakes shaking. And finds the map glowing. Alenia teaches her. Not with books, but with ritual. With meditation. With symbols drawn in ashen blood. Isolde learns to read the stars not as signs, but as sentences. She sees patterns in the sky, hears music in silence. Gabriel watches. But does not join. His faith is fraying. And she is changing. One night, he confronts her. You believe this? I feel it. It's not God. She touches his face. It's something older. He pulls away. And the silence between them becomes a chasm. Alenia warns them. The Inquisition is coming. Thibaut has reached the mountains. He burns villages. He questions children. He seeks the map, and the girl who carries it. You must go, Alenia says. To Toulouse? No. She hands Isolde a scroll. Follow this. It leads to the vault. Gabriel stiffens. What vault? Alenia's eyes gleam. The one beneath the world. They leave at dawn. Through snow and silence. But the man in gray follows. Always just behind. Always watching. And this time, he is not alone. Isolde has begun to awaken, to knowledge older than scripture, to truths buried beneath centuries of silence. But with revelation comes danger, and the veil is thinning. Part 7, The Bond of Flesh and Spirit. The wind howls through the mountain pass, carrying whispers that sound like prayers, or warnings. Isolde and Gabriel press forward, the scroll from Alenia clutched in her satchel, the map pulsing faintly with light. The path is treacherous, carved into the rock like a wound, but they do not stop. They are no longer running. They are seeking. At night, they make camp beneath the stars. Gabriel watches the sky, lips moving in silent reverence. Isolde lies beside him, her fingers tracing constellations on his skin. The fire crackles. The world narrows. I don't know what I believe anymore, he says. She turns to him. Then believe in me. He does. Their love is no longer a secret. It is a rebellion. Every kiss defies the church. Every touch rewrites the scripture carved into Gabriel's soul. He was raised to believe desire was sin. But with Isolde, it feels like grace. They make love beneath the stars. Slow. Fierce. Sacred. And afterward, he weeps. Not from shame. From release. The scroll leads them to a valley hidden between peaks. There, nestled in the shadow of a ruined fortress, lies a village untouched by the Inquisition. The people speak in hushed tones, wear symbols older than the cross, and welcome Isolde like a prophecy fulfilled. She learns their names. Their rituals. Their truths. Gabriel is wary. He sees the way they look at her, not as a woman, but as a vessel. He hears the chants at night, the stories of the vault, the whispers that she is the flame reborn. She's not a savior, he tells the elder. She is what the church fears, the elder replies. A woman who knows. Isolde begins to change. She dreams in languages she's never heard. She sees visions in firelight, of stars falling, of wings unfurling, of a door carved into stone. The map glows brighter. The scroll reveals new symbols. She is becoming. And Gabriel is afraid. One night, he confronts her. You're not the same. I'm more. More than me? She touches his face. No. But I'm not yours to keep. The words slice deep. But he understands. Because love is not possession. It is devotion. The man in gray returns. He walks into the village like a shadow, untouched by guards, unchallenged by elders. He stands before Isolde and Gabriel, eyes gleaming. "You are close," he says. "To what?" He smiles. "To the vault." Isolde steps forward. "What is it?" "A door." "To what?" He looks at her. "To everything." The villagers gather. They speak of the vault as legend, a place where the astrals buried their knowledge, sealed by blood and guarded by those who walk between worlds. Only one who carries the map and bears the mark may enter. Isolde bears both. Gabriel begs her to wait. To understand. To prepare. But she is already burning. And the fire will not wait. They leave at dawn. Isolde. Gabriel. The man in gray. Toward the vault. Toward the truth. Toward the edge of everything. Isolde and Gabriel's love has transcended flesh, but the path ahead threatens to tear them apart. The vault awaits, and with it, the revelation that could change the world, or destroy it. Part 8, The Betrayal. The path to the vault is carved into the mountains like a scar. Isolde walks ahead, the map pulsing in her satchel, the scroll from Alenia tucked against her ribs. Gabriel follows, silent, his eyes shadowed. The man in gray walks behind them, always just far enough to feel like a threat, never close enough to strike. The air grows thinner. The stars brighter. And the silence between them deeper. They reach a plateau at dusk. The ruins of an ancient temple rise from the stone, its pillars cracked, its altar broken. Symbols cover the walls, constellations, serpents, wings. Isolde touches them, and the map glows. "This is it," she whispers. Gabriel doesn't respond. That night, they make camp beneath the shattered dome. Isolde dreams of fire, not the kind that burns, but the kind that reveals. She sees a door carved into the earth, symbols swirling, voices chanting. She sees herself standing before it, the map in one hand, Gabriel in the other. And then, blood. She wakes to shouting. Gabriel is gone. The man in gray stands over her, blade drawn. "He took the scroll," he says. Isolde scrambles to her feet. "Why?" "He fears what you are." She runs. She finds Gabriel at the edge of the ruins. The scroll clutched in his hands. His face pale. Eyes wild. "I can't let you open it," he says. "Why?" "Because it's not salvation. It's destruction." She steps closer. "You don't know that. I know what faith feels like. And this is something else." She reaches for him. He pulls away. And the scroll tears. The wind howls. The ground trembles. The map glows brighter. And the door appears. Carved into the cliffside. Waiting. Isolde stares at Gabriel. "You betrayed me. I tried to save you. You tried to save yourself." He drops the torn scroll. And walks away. The man in gray approaches. "You must choose," he says. "Between what?" "Between love and truth." She looks at the door. Then at Gabriel's retreating figure. And steps forward. The door opens. Not with keys. With blood. She presses her palm to the stone. It cuts her. And drinks. Inside, the vault is not a room. It is a world. Stars swirl above. Symbols pulse beneath her feet. Voices whisper in languages she doesn't know but somehow understands. She sees the past, the astrals, the burning of knowledge, the rise of the church. She sees her uncle, Alenia, Gabriel, and herself. She emerges changed, eyes glowing faintly, skin marked with symbols. The map now etched into her memory. She is no longer just Isolde. She is the flame. Gabriel waits outside. He sees her and falls to his knees. "I'm sorry," he whispers. She touches his face. "I know." But she does not forgive. Not yet. The man in gray vanishes. No words. No farewell. Just mist. And silence. They descend the mountain. Together. But not whole. Isolde has entered the vault and awakened something ancient. Gabriel's betrayal has left scars, and the path ahead is no longer just survival, it's reckoning. Part 9, The Crossroads of Fire. They reach the valley of Saint Laurent at dusk. Smoke curls from chimneys. Bells toll in the distance. But it's not the sound of peace, it's the sound of reckoning. The Inquisition has arrived before them. Thibault's crimson banners hang from the church tower like bloodied scripture. Gabriel stiffens. Isolde grips his hand. They are no longer fugitives. They are the storm. The town square is filled with whispers. A trial is announced. Not of a heretic. Of a priest. Gabriel. Thibault stands before the crowd, robes gleaming, voice sharp. This man broke his vows. He consorted with a heretic. He defiled the sanctity of his calling. Gabriel is dragged forward. His eyes find Isolde. And he does not look away. Isolde steps forward. The crowd parts. Thibault's eyes narrow. "You dare?" "I do." "You are not welcome." "I am not afraid." She holds the map in her hand. And the world stills. Thibault laughs. "A parchment will not save you." "It's not parchment," she says. "It's truth." She turns to the crowd. "You burn what you fear. But fear is not faith. It is blindness." Gasps ripple. Thibault raises his hand. Sees her. Gabriel breaks free. He fights like a man possessed, not with fists, but with fire. He speaks not in Latin, but in the language of the stars, the one Isolde taught him. The crowd falters. The guards hesitate. And then, the sky shifts. The stars align. The map glows. And the church bell shatters. Isolde stands in the center of the square, light pouring from her skin, symbols swirling around her like wings. The villagers fall to their knees. Thibault screams. "She is the devil." "No," Gabriel says. "She is the flame." Thibault draws a blade. He charges. Isolde does not move. Gabriel does. Steel meets flesh. And blood spills. Thibault falls. Gabriel does too. Isolde catches him. His blood stains her hands. "I'm here," she whispers. He smiles. "You always were." The villagers rise. Not in anger. In awe. They carry Gabriel to the chapel. They light candles. They sing. Not hymns. Songs older than Rome. Older than fear. Isolde kneels beside him. He is fading. But his eyes are clear. "You showed them," he says. "No," she whispers. "You did." He touches her cheek and closes his eyes. She does not scream. She does not weep. She burns. The map dissolves. The stars shift. And the world changes. Gabriel has paid the price. Isolde has revealed the truth. But the cost is unbearable, and the path ahead is no longer about escape. It is about legacy. Part 10, The Pilgrim's Path. The valley behind her is quiet. Gabriel's grave lies beneath a twisted yew, marked only by a stone carved with stars. Isolde stands alone, the wind tugging at her cloak, the map now etched into her memory, the vault's knowledge burning in her veins. She does not cry. She walks south, through forests where the trees whisper her name, through villages where the church's grip is loosening, where people speak of miracles and rebellion and a girl who glowed like fire. She is legend. But legends are hunted. She changes her name, her clothes, her voice, but not her purpose. She carries the truth now, not in parchment, but in blood. The vault's revelations swirl inside her, visions of constellations and ancient rites, of knowledge buried and resurrected. She writes. On walls. On scraps. In the margins of prayer books. She teaches. Quietly. Carefully. And the fire spreads. In a coastal town, she meets a healer named Mire. Sharp-eyed. Fierce. Unafraid. Mire sees the marks on Isolde's skin and does not flinch. You've walked through fire, she says. I carry it. Mire nods. Then let it burn. They travel together. Two women. One truth. They speak in riddles. In symbols. In songs. They are followed. By whispers. By shadows. By the man in gray. He appears in a monastery in Alls. In a market in Narbonne. In a chapel in Béziers. Always watching. Never speaking. Until one night, he does. You are changing the world, he says. Isolde stares at him. Not enough. He smiles. It's never enough. She dreams of Gabriel. Of his voice. Of the way he said her name like a prayer. She wakes with tears on her cheeks. And fire in her chest. They reach the border. Beyond it lies lands untouched by Rome, wild, free, dangerous. Mire hesitates. Isolde does not. She crosses. The mountains are cruel. The people wary. But the stars are the same. And the fire does not dim. She finds a village carved into the cliffs. The people speak a dialect older than Latin. They welcome her. Not as a stranger. As a prophet. She teaches. She heals. She writes. And the map spreads, not as ink, but as memory. Children recite constellations. Women draw symbols in the dirt. Men question the sermons they've always feared. The church sends word. A new inquisitor. More ruthless than Thibaut. More devout. More afraid. Isolde prepares. Not to run. To stand. She is no longer the girl from Bourbon. She is the flame. And the world is watching. Isolde walks alone, but she is no longer lost. The fire she carries is spreading, and the church is beginning to tremble. The final reckoning draws near. Part 11, The Last Sacrament. The wind carries the scent of ash. Isolde stands at the edge of the village, the mountains behind her, the fire ahead. The church has returned, not with whispers, but with war. Banners of crimson and gold flutter above armored men. The new Inquisitor rides at the front, eyes like polished obsidian, lips pressed into a line of judgment. His name is Father Severin. And he does not come to question. He comes to burn. The villagers beg her to flee. Mire pleads. "You've done enough," she says. "Let the fire die." But Isolde cannot. Because the fire is not dying. It is rising. She walks into the square. Alone. Her cloak billows. Her eyes glow faintly. The marks on her skin pulse with light. The map is gone, dissolved into her blood, her breath, her being. She is the last testament. And the church knows it. Father Severin steps forward. "You are the heretic. I am the truth. You will be cleansed. I already burned." He orders her seized. But the guards hesitate. Because the villagers do not move. Because Mire stands beside her. Because the fire is no longer hers alone. Severin draws a blade. Not for trial. For execution. Isolde does not flinch. She kneels. And speaks. Not in Latin. In the language of the stars. The sky shifts. The wind howls. And the fire ignites. Not from torches. From within. The symbols on her skin blaze. The ground trembles. The church bell shatters. And Severin screams. She rises. Eyes glowing. Hair aflame. And speaks. "You cannot kill what is already risen." Severin charges. Steel meets light. And is consumed. The fire spreads. But it does not burn. It cleanses. The villagers weep. Mire kneels. And Isolde walks through the flames untouched. She reaches the chapel. Gabriel's grave. She kneels. And places her hand on the stone. "I did it," she whispers. "I carried it." The fire fades. The sky stills. And the world exhales. She does not stay. She walks. Alone. Through lands that whisper her name. Through villages that light candles in her honor. Through ruins that bloom again. She is no longer hunted. She is followed. Not by soldiers. By seekers. By believers. By those who carry the fire. She does not preach. She does not rule. She teaches. Quietly. Fiercely. And the fire spreads. Isolde has faced the final trial, not of death, but of choice. She chose truth. She chose legacy. She chose to carry the fire, even when it cost her everything. Part 12, Ashes and Grace. Years pass. The world changes. Not with war, but with whispers. With stories told in candlelight. With symbols carved into stone and sung in lullabies. The church still stands, but its grip loosens. The Inquisition fades into memory. And in the quiet corners of Europe, the fire burns on. They call her many names. The flame. The heretic saint. The woman who walked through fire. But she calls herself only Isolde. She lives in a village by the sea. The cliffs are steep. The wind fierce. But the stars are clear, and the night's quiet. Children come to her with questions. Women come with pain. Men come with doubt. She listens. She teaches. She never preaches. Miri visits often. Older now. Wiser. Still fierce. They sit by the fire, drink bitter wine, and speak of the past. Of Gabriel. Of the vault. Of the man in grey, who vanished like mist and never returned. Isolde writes. Not scripture. Memory. She records the map from the vault, the symbols, the visions. She writes of Bourbon, of Saint Armand, of the trial, the leap, the love that burned and did not fade. She writes of Gabriel. And leaves space for silence. One night, a stranger arrives. Young. Wide-eyed. Carrying a scroll. He kneels before her. I found this, he says. In the ruins of a monastery. She opens it. It's a prayer. Written in Gabriel's hand. She does not cry. She burns. The stars shift. The wind howls. And she knows. It is time. She walks to the cliffs. Alone. The sea roars below. The sky glows above. She kneels. And speaks. Not in Latin. Not in the language of the stars. In her own voice. I carried the fire. I loved. I lived. She does not die. She dissolves. Into light. Into legend. Into grace. The villagers find her cloak. Her scrolls. Her final words. Truth is not a flame to be feared. It is a light to be followed. They build a chapel. Not of stone. Of stars. And the fire burns on. Isolde's journey ends not in death, but in transcendence. Her love, her truth, her fire, they live on in every whispered story, every star traced by a child's hand, every soul brave enough to question. This is not just the end of a tale. Ashes and grace. If you felt the fire in Isolde's heart. If you walked beside her through betrayal, love, and truth. If you believe that courage lives in those who dare to question. Leave a mark. Like. Subscribe. Share the flame. Not for numbers, but for the legacy of stories that deserve to be heard. For every soul searching for light in the dark. For every heart that still believes in love that defies the world. It's the beginning of a legacy.